Hello folks, and welcome back. Today in the workshop we've got the sangu kaku Japanese maple. And this is the one where I kind of messed up. Got a really bad wire scar here in the apex. And I'm not real happy with it, to be honest. I'm thinking about eliminating it and going a different direction with the apex. Just because it just doesn't... Between the wire scarring and this nasty scar here where we cut it off last year, it didn't really do what I anticipated it to do. It just really looks unsightly to me. And so we need to try to think about some other options for an apex up here on this tree. These are the two thread grafts that we made 2 years ago now. This one here and this one here. This branch started growing faster than this branch here, so I went ahead and cut it back, allowing this one to continue to grow. And I wired them down so they were in a little bit better position when they were still malleable versus trying to wire them out later. They would have been growing straight up like this if I had not brought them down ahead of time. So we're going to take a look at those. And back branching, I've got a lot of back branching on the tree now. It's got some back branching here, a back branch here, another one here, a whole bunch of them as you come up this direction. So our main focus on this tree right now is going to be, of course, I'm going to continually have to battle these lower branches down here where some initial cut sites were a few years back. They're almost, I mean, this one here has got just a little bit left to heal, and it's completely healed. Spin this around. That one's completely healed. That one has maybe just an 1/8 of an inch slit here, and it's completely healed. This one up here is doing real well. This one has maybe one growing season left, and it's completely healed. So I'm really happy with the healing that I've got on this tree. It lets me know that I get a really nice and strong root base, and that everything's doing exactly as it should. So first things first is just getting down here and getting rid of these lower branches that we don't ever intend on using, and rubbing any buds off that have popped down here so they won't come out this year either. We just don't need them, and they're just going to do nothing but cause bulges that we're going to have to contend with later if we don't take care of them now. I'm going to go ahead and remove all those. And I'm just rubbing roughly around these old wound sites here. So any dormant buds that I don't see right offhand can be removed as well. Get rid of this residue from cut paste that's been on there for a few years. It's just time for it to come off. Alright, let's look at this back branch here that we have at the bottom. Not doing a whole lot. There's a bunch of suckers that have come out around this area as well. Need to come up with some kind of direction for this back branch here and start working on some possible ramification. So what I think I'm going to do, I just don't like the angle that thing's growing down at. I think I'm going to eliminate the larger of the two and work with the smaller one here, because it's still pliable and I can manipulate it, move it, turn it where I want it to be. Got to get rid of all these little other buds here that are acting if they want to come out here and do something. So let's get that. Get rid of that. We'll keep this bottom back branch here. We'll work with it. Now, as we go up the tree, I've got a whole lot of buds that have popped all over the place back here or have come out. Can't use all of them, so a lot of them are just in the wrong place. I've got a whole bunch of them in this area here. I anticipate keeping this branch and utilizing it as kind of a back corner branch, I guess you could say. And I've got a whole mess of buds right here that are wanting to come out. So I'm just going to take my thumb and rub this whole area, my thumb and my finger, to knock all those dormant buds out of there and prevent them from coming out this season. And if they do, I need to catch them pretty quick and just eliminate them. Just kind of cleaning up these areas back here. There's some unsightly bulging where we've had masses of twigs come out. Alright, let's focus on this side over here now. If you remember, I had a branch that came out here and it had some wire scarring on it, and so we eliminated it because it was getting a little thick for where it was on the tree. I had these two branches in turn come out as a result of cutting it back, and we need to look at those now to try to figure out which one we're going to keep and which one we're going to eliminate. And a couple things that I'm looking at is this one here is a little bit lower than this one is. This is more along the lines of where it was originally. And we've got, of course, these two branches, then we have this branch here. We've got this back branch. This branch up here, even though it's in a higher location, is about at the same location as that back branch that we have that we're thinking about keeping over here. And I don't want that T-bar effect, meaning two branches coming out at the same plane. I've got a lot of dormant buds up here. So what I'm thinking of possibly doing is to keep this from turning into a reverse taper, more so than it even looks like it is now. Going ahead and eliminating these two branches, rubbing these bud heads off here, and letting something come up here a little bit higher on the tree. And I think that's going to be a better overall balance than letting these continue to grow here and thicken that portion of the tree. So I think what we'll go ahead and do is get that done. Got a lot of buds just all up and down this tree that I don't want. So I'm just coming through here and rubbing these nodules and getting those out of there. What it does is just busts the head of that dormant bud off and prevents it from growing. I'm going to zoom in right here on the tree so you can see what I mean. I mean, I've just got whirls and whirls. There's 10, 15 of them in one site on this tree. That's just very healthily growing. Alright. These are the two branches that I was referring to before that are kind of coming out at the same height as a branch opposite it right here, which would form that T-bar look. Now if you see up here, this area here, all these little white specks are all dormant buds, just waiting for a chance to come out and form a branch. And if you look right here, all these little red dots are dormant buds just waiting to come out and be a branch. And this tree's got that going on all the way up and down it. So we know in this area we don't want anything growing there, and there's already the start of a knob that's starting to swell up here. which we can get it to heal over in a year. So I'm going to cut that back, and then I'm just going to rub this area here to prevent any other buds that may be there that we didn't get off from growing. We said we're not going to keep either of these, so these have to go. And again, in this area here, we need to just rub any dormant buds that may be still there. And they're just everywhere. I mean, right here, there's hundreds of them. I want something to come out in this vicinity. So all these right here on this side, perfect. All right. All these little red dots you see along this area are all dormant buds, which this year are going to come out and try to make a branch. We don't want all these buds to come out and make a branch. Over here in this area, we want a branch to come out so we can make a branch for the tree, a final branch. But these over here are all going to want to come out as well. We don't want those. So what we need to do is get our concave cutter, come in here, cut that back. And then we come in here with our thumb and scrape away any dormant buds in that area so they won't come out. Now we've got a ton of them over here as well. We don't want any to come out on top, so we need to rub those, which means the only ones that are now going to be viable are going to be these under here. And that's where we want them to come out, so they can come out here and form a branch for us. And there's still probably, I don't know, 5 or 10 of them right there that'll come out and form a branch. So we'll wait till they come out. We'll select the one that's in the best location for us, and we'll start training that branch. So let's go ahead and zoom back out now. And I'm going to have to continue rubbing these sites like this that are back here all over the place. They just have hundreds and hundreds of dormant buds, and I don't want them coming out because I don't need them. If I eventually let them go, they're going to be unsightly bulges, more so than they already are now. I mean, they're already unsightly. This will probably never be a prize-winning tree in leafless phase, but I want it to be a nice tree nonetheless. So let's go ahead and zoom back out and continue our work. Now, up above that area, which is right here that we just zoomed in on, is a branch here. It's a little bit lower than these here, but I don't think it's going to be necessary for the final design that we're after. I think here, and then up here will be good. And I've got that same massive whirl of buds right here in the front again on this tree, so we got to come back in here and cut this back a little bit to get rid of them. Just with our fingernails and just kind of scrape along the edges here, get any of them that we may have missed. Again, like I said, I don't think this here is viable for the final design of the tree, so we'll cut that back as well. And all these little wound sites that I'm making on the tree like that, they're all going to be closed over this year, so nothing to worry about there. It's that'll be taken care of. This upper back branch is starting to get a little thick. Go ahead and cut it back, get it prepped. I've got a branch here that I don't need. Branch here that I don't need. This branch here is growing straight up. Eliminate it. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. Now, what kind of, in a nutshell, brings us to the top and what this apex is going to be or look like or what have you. Kind of at a loss in a way. I'm really disappointed in my lack of paying attention and getting out here and getting this thing addressed like I should have, but I didn't. I may be able to let it go for another year and it would probably almost completely heal over. It's always going to have a nasty scar there. This is all scar tissue here, not that beautiful coral colored bark that you see on the branching. Which I don't know if it's that big of an issue on the trunk. However, if you look at it here from the back side or even from this view, it's beautiful. I love that color. That really fluorescent orangish, pinkish color. Now, I was training these two branches here to be a potential new apex that I could cut back to by eliminating all this and just cutting back to here, and then maybe training this up as the new apex. But I don't know that may put it a little bit too far out of balance as far as an apex is concerned on this tree. Realistically, the apex should be somewhere right in here. I've got this branch right here, which would make a great new apex. It's in the right location, it's high up on the tree, which I could cut to it, like so. And it would do good for an apex on the tree. That's the right location for where I want an apex on this tree to be. Right there. But still dealing with that ugly scar. And I don't like how this comes up. Let me zoom into this area. I really got to get myself a small tripod. I don't like this area right here. I don't like how it comes up, does this abrupt, and then come up this way. I was hoping for a bud to break somewhere. I just don't have one. And it sucks because I didn't want to lose all this taper that I have here. This whole area is always going to be ugly if I leave it the way it is. So I've been contemplating, and I think I'm going to try it. It's taking this whip. I've got a whip here that's got a viable end, and it's pliable enough and I can get it in the location I want. I'm thinking about grafting right in here, new apex. Okay. There's some scar tissue here. It's completely healed over, so I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue. I've got this branch down here, so in the event something happens, I could possibly use this as a new top, although I don't want to if I can help it. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill through right here, and I'm going to thread graft an apex in that location. That way, once this thread graft takes, I can eliminate this ugly bend here. So we're going to take a whip, which is this whip here. We're going to bring it back around the back, through, and out right here to create the new apex. So let me get my drill bit and everything I need to get that done, and go ahead and do it. Now, I don't have to use one of those big giant drill bits, the big long shafted drill bits, because I'm not going through a large area of the tree. I've got this drill bit here, which is large enough to get through where I need to get to do this. So we're going to go ahead and put the bit in the truck. And get to drilling. This may work and this may not work. I have not attempted to do something like this through an area that's previously scar tissue. So I'm hoping it works, and I guess we'll know soon enough if it does work. Now I'm going to run this in reverse at first to set, because if I go in forward, the drill bit's going to have a tendency to want to walk down this area. If I put it where I want to and hit reverse, it's going to create a divot right there, which in turn I can turn it into the normal drill bit mode and it won't walk down the branch. So I'm going to come in here first, plant the drill bit where I want this new apex to be, rotate it backwards while applying some light pressure, and as you can see, it's created a divot there now. And that divot's going to allow me to drill forward without that drill bit walking down. Alright. There's our hole. And this wire is going to help support the bend that I make, so we don't do any damage to our whip that we're using. And we're going to come here. You know what? I'm going to come back here on this side. I just don't like that way that hole looks on the back side here. Come back here and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Whip through and out the other end. And I think that's about as far as I want to go with it. Take the rest of this wire and just put it right here to stabilize that thread graft. Now I want to use a piece of a twig that's been cut off kind of act as a wedge. got a good union at the top of this graft. So I want the scion to take at the top. Okay. And then of course, liberal amount of wound sealant on both sides. Now it is raining outside at the moment, and I want this cut paste to dry, so I'm actually going to leave this tree in here overnight so that the rain doesn't wash away this cut paste. Okay, now that the thread graft is complete, which is here, I'm hoping that by leaving these two branches up here, the energy is still going to be coming through at a pretty good clip, which will allow that wound to heal over really fast. I'm going to let this branch grow freely, of course, that way hopefully it will set in position, and then we can wire it after the graft takes, because right now it's way forward. I don't want to disturb it. I want it to, the graft to take, and then we can always wire it after the fact. It will need to be wired up into position. I'm going to remove this other whip that was growing in the same location as that one. That one was the stronger of the two. Or maybe I shouldn't. I'm actually going to leave that one there, because in the event that this doesn't take, I've got a secondary one that I can try to thread graft on from there. So now what I need to do is just kind of go around the rest of the tree and do some trimming on the branches that I want to keep for shape. And just kind of eliminate things that aren't necessary for the final design of the tree. And we will be finished with this tree for now. All right. Now, because these two branches are so close in diameter, I mean, this one is now larger than this one, but not by much. And I want to really make sure that this one is not necessarily double the thickness, but considerably thicker. I'm going to continue to let these branches here grow and just go crazy. Okay? This one here, what I'm probably going to do is bring it down just a little bit more this season, and this that's in front here is going to end up being the final part of this branch for ramification. So I'm going to take it off, clear back here, and then work with what I have here for my ramification. Unless I get another bud pop back in here somewhere. On this side as well, I've got this upper branch here, and I've got a couple back branches behind here that I could utilize. Between the two of them, I'm just going to eliminate one of them right now, that I could cut back to work on the ramification on this side of the tree once this branch gets to the thickness that I want to achieve. So that's it for this tree for this season. Like I said, just did some initial work on it, kind of put things where I wanted them, got rid of some upward growing branches. I'm going to be super stoked if this graft takes. Cross our fingers, hopefully it will. And if it does, that's right where I wanted a branch to be initially, and I tried to work with what I had, and it just didn't work out for me. So if that takes, we've got our apex exactly where we want it to be, and there's a lot of inner nodes down through here that we can utilize for the ramification of the apex once we get an apex done. Again, I've left another whip here in case this one doesn't take. I've got another shot at it, and sunshine, water, and food for this one for the rest of the year. So we'll do a quick 360 on it. Get it back out to the bench. Right now I'm not doing any wiring on the tree. If you've noticed, I'm just kind of doing what would be referred to as a clip and grow method. Just for these lower branches. We will wire them into position eventually, just not at the moment. We're just really kind of just keeping everything in check for now, and in a way through pruning, selective pruning, putting things where we want them in regard to the styling of the tree. It'll be a lot easier once I get everything ready for wiring, where I can just set everything fairly quick because they're going to be in the general area that I want them in already. Just maybe a matter of moving, you know, from here to here versus taking something from here and bringing it over here, or bringing it in here, or vice versa. So that's where we are at this point in time. Thank you for watching.